Good morning. It's Friday, y'all. The 16th, no, the 7th of March, 2025. The 16 was 7:16 a.m. My goodness. I hope you've had a good week. You know what it is? It's not just Friday. It's Friday. Why? Because I'm off tomorrow and going to go see my grandbaby tomorrow. And I hope you had a good week. And I hope, as I say every Friday, Sunday, 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 I pray that you're in a Bible believing, preaching, teaching church, if at all possible. And there are other churches, if you are not able to go to church, you do not have a Bible believing, teaching, preaching church in your area, you can reach out to me. I will try to help you find one or connect you with a good church that you can be part of online. But that is only if you are completely unable to be in a church. So anyway, I'm going to work this weekend diligently to try to get this YouTube live up and running. That way I can live stream from there, link it over to here to Facebook, and then just do it that way. I'm trying to get all the content. The other reason is Facebook's changing stuff. These videos that I do, they changed it. Now, these videos, they're only available for 30 days and then they fall off, which, I mean, that's not that big of a deal because I do a devotional every day. So, but it's little things that just kind of irk you sometimes. And it used to be that these videos were good to be on here until, whenever, until I closed the Facebook group down. But they want to change things up, and it's Facebook. It's a private company. They can do what they want, just like YouTube is. And we're going to also, if you don't watch YouTube, there's Rumble. Rumble's out there. You've heard of Dan Bongino. He's our new assistant director of the FBI. He's one of the owners of Rumble, which leans more conservative stuff, versus YouTube, which is everything. So make it on Rumble. But also on my website, brokenroadjourney.com. Make sure you check that out. Um, so, so we're getting back to the Apostle Paul today. And yesterday's video is kind of long. We're not going to go real long with this, other than we're going to look at where Paul came from. You know, we know that Paul was a Jew. Paul was actually a Pharisee. He was a Pharisee of Pharisees, one time he says. And before Christ called him and saved him and called him to be a preacher and an apostle, Paul was a pretty rough guy. So let's look here at Galatians 1. We'll look at verses, we'll start back in 1 or 11 and then go to verse 14. Actually, jump back to verse 10. For do I now persuade men? This is Galatians 1. For do I now persuade men or God, or do I seek to please man? For if I yet pleased man, I should not be the servant of Christ. But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. For I neither received it of man, nor was I taught it, but by the revelation of Jesus Christ. That's Paul, where he got his gospel. Monday, we're going to look at how he got his gospel. It's pretty cool. Anyway, and for you, verse 13. But or back in verse 12, for I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by revelation of Jesus Christ. Verse 13, for you've heard of my conversation in time past. His conversation would be his testimony in the past, right? Our testimony we have is a conversation that people talk about. We hope that it's a testimony and not a detrimony. When I say detriment, I just kind of made that up. We don't want our life to be detrimental to the gospel. How we live and how we act, we don't want it to be detrimental and have a negative effect on the ministry. So the testimony is good, having a positive testimony. And that's where that conversation, in times past, how he acted in times past. How that beyond measure, look at this, I persecuted the church of God and wasted it. But I want you to notice something. The church of Christ, which we know is the body of Christ, was actually around before Paul. Now, the mystery of it, the Christ in you and you in him, those two mysteries, those weren't revealed until Paul. They were present before Paul, but they were not revealed until Paul. So when we see the persecute the church of God, it's talking about the body of Christ that was present before Paul. Now, here's the thing. It wasn't present very long, maybe a year to 2 years. But during that time, Paul was not very nice to the early church. He literally was getting orders from the councils, Jewish councils, and the high priest, and the Pharisees and the leaders of the various synagogues to go out and take hold of Christians, the early Christians, but they weren't called Christians yet, the early believers, and he was taking them to be brought forth in front of councils. And at this point, it was a lot of the Jewish people that had become converted and followers of Christ, part of this body of Christ. So he would go out and he would persecute them, lead them to punishment. And sometimes that punishment was death. We know by Acts chapter 7, and Paul, let's go there, keep your finger in Galatians 1. How deep was this persecution? Go to Acts chapter 7, maybe Acts chapter 8, 1, but I'll tell you for sure when we get here. Acts chapter 7. Oh, no, it is chapter 8. Acts chapter 8, verse 1. This is right after Stephen, and right there when Stephen was actually stoned. Look at chapter 8, verse 1. And Saul was consenting unto his death. Whose death? Stephen's. Saul was part of the Pharisees there and the Jewish leaders that were voting to stone Stephen to death. So you want to talk about murder and evil. Paul gave his vote to kill Stephen. The first recorded martyr in the Bible. That's pretty bad. And then we go over to Acts chapter 9. Let's look here. And Saul, Acts chapter 9, verse 1, and Saul, which is Paul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest. Threatenings. He was getting letters and going out and threatening early believers about following Christ. Against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest and desired of him. He was eager. He was zealous. He wanted to go out and do what he thought was the Lord's work in going after these early Christians. And he was begging to do this, and desired of him letters to Damascus, to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. So he was going out through the synagogues, through Judea, Samaria, and going into Syria now, Damascus, all these areas, and dragging Christians, disciples of the Lord, back to Jerusalem to face council and death, just like Stephen. And the thing was, they would give them a chance to recant. And if they didn't, they would martyr them. That's what they're doing. They're martyring them. They're killing them. And who was doing it? Paul. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. We're going to stop there on that, and we'll go back to that Monday. Go back to Galatians chapter 1. So here's Paul, a very mean, vitriolic, evil guy, thinking he was doing good for the Lord, and he's actually doing bad. He's working for Satan, and he didn't even realize it. That should be a warning to you, Christians. There's sometimes you might be used by Satan. Just saying, to deflect from spreading the gospel. Just keep your eyes and mind out. Anyway, back to this. Look at Galatians 1:14. And profited in the Jews' religion above many mine equals, in mine own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the tradition of my fathers. Traditions of my fathers. So there's Paul, and this is what he came from. Monday, we're going to look at back again. We've done this in the past. Monday, we're going to look again of when the Lord called him and what exactly he told him on the road to Damascus. All right, that's all I got for you today. Hope you have a good weekend. God bless you all. Probably going to upload another discipleship tomorrow morning. And again, Sunday be in church. If you're watching this, you have questions or comments, go to my website, brokenroadjourney.com, brokenroadjourney.com. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and click on notifications. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can just message me directly on Facebook. Anyway, God bless y'all. May this be the spring the Lord raptures us out of here. Have a good day.